That's so funny.
It's a good one.
You're right, I am autistic. Good job.
Alright. Well, everybody, welcome to the first unofficial episode of... I almost mispronounced the name of the podcast. The Uninspired podcast. Stop breaking shit over there.
Sorry.
RedDaw. That's
Who's
right.
that?
I'm calling you out.
Okay.
He feels offended.
You should. This is the Uninspired podcast. My name is Joe.
My name is Sans, and welcome.
It's Karen here. Took the kids.
And as you heard, Red Dawn. Red Dawn. Yo, what's up?
Do you prefer Red Dawn or Big Boulder?
Let's go Big Boulder. I don't care. Red Dawn. Red Dawn's easier to say. Big Boulder. I don't care. Whatever. You can call me Big Balls. I don't care. Like
big balls. Those big balls. Psych. Except for we discovered this is actually a lot of room
Down
that.
See, no one's
That
gonna
is
get that.
nobody.
That's okay because it's an inside joke that we love because
We'll
it
get
means
it.
you have tiny penis, so that's
We'll
all
get
that
it.
Or I wore
audience
big
will-
jeans at the time.
The
But
audience
okay,
is
understandable.
gonna have a hard time with that, and you know what? It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Whoa, Mike. All right.
Hey, you know what? There's a whole subsection of Pornhub that's all just degradation Pornhub type shit, and not that I watch it.
Sure.
I wanted to actually make a Pornhub account. Just not like
I
not.
did make a porn.
I know you told me about that. not to like show
Pornhub account, greasy teenager jerks into big anime boobs for 3 hours.
No. Except it's not gonna be that. I wanted to review porn because I'm like, the fuck is this shit? Porn review. Guys, I'm 18, so fuck off.
That's it. The unofficial
Pornhub.
podcast is going to be uploaded on Pornhub.
I made a Pornhub account
Can we
because
upload it to Pornhub?
there is a YouTuber I like. His name's Call Me Carson.
I think we
He
can.
needs some recognition because he's fucking hilarious.
That'd be great. Let's do it.
But he's planning on a Pornhub raid later on his YouTube channel, and I wanted to take part of it, so I made a Pornhub account to take part of this Pornhub raid. And I've been leaving weird ass comments on everything and posting to a subreddit.
So if you haven't noticed by now, this
Grenade.
podcast is basically just us shooting the shit. We're all drinking. Mostly we drink rum and coke or scotch, and smoke cigars and tobacco pipes. A bunch of punk ass kids and slightly less kids, but still punk ass shit posting memers who like to talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to us. So that's
Stop
alright.
dabbing.
Yeah, seriously, stop dabbing.
Voiceover Pete.
Yeah, he's the only one that's allowed to do
voiceover
that.
Pete's good at that. You're not.
Yeah.
It's funny because he's old and it's hilarious.
John Wick needs your help at
It's like-
the
it's
Tilted
like-
Towers. We need your credit card information and the 3 wacky numbers on the
If
back.
you want to send us your mom's credit card information, like we're all broke too, so we'll take that shit.
We'll take it.
Should be great. Karen, how do you like how this podcast is going so far?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Still want to take the kids.
Karen's more of our intellectual.
Fuck you, Karen.
They're my kids.
Karen's our intellectual who takes the kids and yeah, that's pretty much it. Takes the kids and likes to talk about intellectual shit, which is fine. We all do.
Except
despite
for
the fact that we started this podcast out talking about Pornhub.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can do both because
Yeah.
So here's some like my whole theory on entertainment nowadays, especially with viewers the way they are on YouTube and things like that. People like authenticity, and I'm all about that. I'm all because who the fuck are we? We're fucking nobody.
Yeah.
But we're authentically just average dudes doing an average thing
And shooting the shit.
and shooting the shit
Heck yeah.
and getting the good snaps there.
No,
there,
not
Sam.
getting any nudes.
Oh, bummer.
Damn.
Not today, at least.
Not today. Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later.
Yeah, Sam's the only one of us that gets any nudes, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I don't get it.
Dakota, do you get nudes sent to you?
My name's Karen, and I am definitely taking the goddamn kids.
Fuck you, Karen.
I'm gonna take that as a no.
Karen used to be a guy, so.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so Karen's former name was Dakota, but now it's Karen.
Yeah.
And
she transitioned, I guess.
Excuse me, sir. It's ma'am.
It's ma'am.
It is ma'am.
Sorry, sir. I'm ma'am.
Get it right. Never call me sir again. Alright? I do not associate with the male gender.
It's ma'am.
Alright?
I need to watch that
I
video.
think
Good money.
I've seen the
dick
meme, but I haven't seen the
shop
video
down,
for that yet.
You know when I first saw that video, you know what the first person I thought of?
Huh.
Anais, when she ate that cereal that his and she's like,
Which
hey,
is the testosterone
yeah,
protein powder.
she's like, hey, I think I know what happened, and it's just like,
I'm telling you, Karen, you need to watch more Gumball. It's hilarious.
Good show, man.
Oh yeah, I've watched bits and pieces here and there.
You need to watch
but
more.
I watch.
Get your shit on Hulu and
Yeah.
watch some. I almost said
I've
watch
been
some Karen.
I've been watching.
Watch some Gumball and watch some Letterkenny.
I've been watching.
That's my theme.
I've lately been watching Game of Thrones and House.
Yeah.
House very intellectual.
Ooh. So okay, so
Game of
I was
Thrones.
listening to would you guys stop fucking each other? I don't know what the hell you're doing.
That's what Game of Thrones is. Just fucking.
Oh shit! That time it was a sword. Fuck.
It's okay. Okay, Game of Thrones is porn with
Low on
a
budget.
really, really, really good story. Okay, I'm serious.
Porn with dragons.
You watch
Fighting,
it for the plot,
dragging, fighting, dragons,
I watch
politics,
hentai for
everything
the
that
plot.
I love
It's-
in one TV show. Okay.
Yeah, dude. It's alright that Game of Thrones is porn because it's all hot chicks.
Yeah,
Mostly,
exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
alright, man.
You guys watch it for the porn. I watch it for the Peter Dinklage porn.
No.
But no, okay. So now, since we're on talking Game of Thrones, that reminded me of something. So I was watching the Daily Wire backstage,
Uh-huh.
and you know that Michael Knowles does not like Lord of the Rings.
He-
can't get into it, right?
Ben Shapiro should have fired him a long time ago.
I think he might have tried to fire him right there. They talked about it, but his because they talked about that conversation led into a conversation about why Tolkien was such a genius.
Yeah, yeah.
And like Knowles has said, I love reading discords about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. I can't stand reading the damn books. And they all admitted that the Tolkien books are very wordy and storied, and
It's really like
overwritten.
it's really in the sort of similar language as the Bible.
yes.
And the Silmarillion is literally the Lord of the Rings
why
Bible.
you watch the movies?
The movies are great,
oh, yeah, the movies
but
are amazing.
what everybody says about everything is the books are better, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
you know?
that's. I'm gonna go with the Joe Rogan and John Caparulo thing on that. Is that when people say, "Oh, the books are better," that's just them trying to virtue signal on your ass.
No, but they cut so many good things out of Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings movies are great, but Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, Tom Bombadil was a great part.
Tom Bombadil should have been in there. And there's little things here and there that they should have done.
Since you've actually read the books.
Well, I've read the first one and I'm in the middle of the second one.
Okay, so because
And I've
from
read
my
the Hobbit.
understanding, how big of a role does Tom Bombadil play in the whole trilogy?
He doesn't play a large role, but he and he's such a mysterious character.
Mm-hmm.
He puts on the ring, or he holds the ring, and there's absolutely no effect that happens to him.
Yeah, he laughs.
He laughs, and he is such a wacky, zany character that he sings, and
Doesn't Gandalf tell them what Tom Bombadil is?
nobody quite knows what Tom Bombadil is.
'Cause I thought I read somewhere that he was like a god of some sort.
Yeah,
but
there's
that he was-
theories, but
yeah, okay.
but they never discuss his race, whether he's a hobbit, human, And from what it seems, he seems to be more like I would.
Right down, you wanna grab me
I
some?
imagine him to be sort of hobbit-sized,
Grab me the
dwarf-sized,
icing.
but that's just the way it is. I can't remember how they describe him in the books, but
Would he be the same race, or not? Because obviously he's far more powerful.
yeah.
But do you think he's the same kind of race as Smeagol was?
Well, Smeagol was a hobbit.
Yeah.
I thought he was like a hobbit. Like
No,
they were
no,
kinda hobbits.
Smeagol was a
he?
hobbit.
Smeagol
okay.
was a hobbit, but then got
Yeah.
transformed.
No,
Well, yeah, the ring transformed, obviously. But here's the point with the ring that applies to like everybody. The part that you realize at the end that you were waiting for, but you weren't really waiting for it because you didn't know you were expecting it, was the point where the ring overtakes Frodo.
Yeah.
And that's such a vital point because if he had just like gotten there and dropped it in, then it'd be like, oh, well then the ring wasn't that powerful.
Yeah.
No, he gets to the point of no return with the ring, and the ring overpowers him.
Yeah.
And he needs help and friends to overcome that, and that applies so much to us. With our downfalls and our inner demons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, how easy is it for those things to overtake us, and we need people in our lives to take them out.
Everybody needs a Samwise Gamgee.
Everybody needs a Samwise Gamgee, and that's why I think he's probably he's the best character. He might be my favorite character because I think Gimli's hilarious and awesome. So he's my favorite character, but Samwise is by far the best character in the show.
Yeah,
and the actor did an amazing job.
And what I love about The Lord of the Rings is I recently watched a video on this on YouTube. There's a word in any storyline. It's called a MacGuffin, and a MacGuffin is an item in a storyline. And so, for instance, the ring would be the MacGuffin of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In A New Hope, R2-D2 is the MacGuffin because he has the plans for the Death Star.
Gotcha.
That sort of thing. It's an item.
Yeah.
And bad movies.
Are you saying R2-D2 is an item?
Yes.
Karen.
No, well, the plans
Karen.
that he has. The plans that he has are the item. Are the
Are you
item.
saying R2-D2 can't feel? Because he's a badass and he cusses out C-3PO.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever.
I'm giving you shit.
But anyway, the MacGuffin is way too often an item that the story tries to get us to care about, but we don't care about it. And when the story makes us not care about it and purposely does it and makes us focus on the characters, then that's a good thing. Bad stories usually try to have us focus on the MacGuffin too much. A very good example of this is the Justice League movie where they bring in like these cubes or whatever, and they're this person is trying to collect these cubes, and I didn't never watch the full movie because it was terrible.
In fact I didn't watch the movie. I only watched the CinemaSins version of it,
and
because I love CinemaSins.
And they did that terribly because they want you to focus on the MacGuffin, but you don't care.
Exactly.
You know?
It hasn't been an item that's been involved long enough in the story for you to care.
But and the thing is, I think like with Infinity War, the MacGuffin is the Infinity Gauntlet with all the stones. All the stones.
Yes.
That's the MacGuffin.
But they have, well, maybe not directly. The Marvel Universe has had the different Infinity Stones as the MacGuffin.
And you care. You
Infinity
do.
War is just when it comes to a head.
Yeah, and you do care about the Infinity Gauntlet, the stones, but not as much. You care about the story. You care about the characters. Throughout the story, and I think Lord of the Rings does it well with the MacGuffin.
Oh, absolutely.
You care about Frodo.
You learn the history of the ring. You learn about why it's so powerful, why it's so important.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this amazing, powerful thing is in the hands of this simple creature, the Hobbit, and it's amazing.
Yeah, just a little film tidbits there. I'm a cinephile, music lover, so I can talk about this all day. So.
I think a soundtrack plays a big role in a movie. Bad soundtrack.
Well, you have
a good movie, but
you have original composition for movies, and then you have well placed, already made music for movies.
Yeah.
So Guardians of the Galaxy does this really well with a lot of classic rock.
Yep. Absolutely.
But yet Star Wars does it really well with John Williams' original compositions.
Actually, you want to know where some of the best audio soundtracks are now? Video games.
Yeah.
By far.
Definitely.
God of War. Oh my God.
God of War. Yeah. I've always loved
play
music
again.
into the Elder Scrolls.
Mm-hmm.
And Fallout, they take old songs that match the
feel of the 50s. And make it sound, they take that old 50s sound and put it on a post-apocalyptic thing to give it like a contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like taking a diamond and giving the black backdrop makes the diamond shine brighter. That black backdrop of post-apocalyptic nuclear warfare.
Yeah.
Really makes the music shine and gives it this whole beautiful feel.
And the movie that I'm still writing the script for to review is the one that doesn't really have a soundtrack much, or not music I've heard of. It's I Am Legend. That movie plays perfect with not
that is the perfect example of
Really
a lack of a soundtrack creates a feel too.
Yeah.
You just have to know how to use it.
Yeah, and music isn't necessary in every movie.
Like there's parts where Will Smith's, walking through a house and there's just nothing. There's no sound, nothing. There's not a da-da, and then there's they don't have the two Jaws
nothing
things.
to prepare you for anything.
Exactly.
When he's walking through the dark fucking building, which always makes the hair stand on my arm.
Oh, yeah,
no music at all, except when he's running from the beast. I think there's obviously
love my
music
dog,
playing, but
I love my dog, but fuck.
yeah, but
and another thing though, you're talking about like the Jaws that's also brilliant. Like for Jaws,
Yeah, that dude made bajillions of dollars off of four notes.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's another John Williams, I believe, did Jaws.
Did he?
I believe, was it John Williams? I believe so.
I'm not sure.
But yeah, and I don't know. And then like silent films relied on music, and I've watched many a good silent films. And like a lot of, like Charlie Chaplin. It was the music is the mood,
Oh yeah, silent films. It was the music and the physicality of it. Because your guys' current teacher, my old teacher Hesford, went into big about when he pull off the coat.
Yeah.
He'd pull off the coat, pull it down to his elbows, and he'd be up to fight. And it was just, and it was such a quick, fluid, physical motion. It's just like, there, when Charlie Chaplin, great, go, kind of thing.
Physicality is everything in a silent film. And I think Charlie Chaplin is the greatest physical actor that has ever lived, but I think our greatest physical actors now have to be Jim Carrey and Rowan Atkinson.
Sure, absolutely.
But I don't think that they can match up to what Charlie Chaplin did.
Oh yeah.
And
did Charlie Chaplin ever target somebody with his butt cheeks? No, Jim Carrey.
Well, another thing, but no, politically, what Charlie Chaplin, what Charlie Chaplin did politically too, he knew that the Nazis were a terrible thing before. Like, he went to, if you watch, Robert Downey Jr. plays Charlie Chaplin in this movie, and there's a scene where, it's before the...
Wait, what movie are you talking about?
It's a Charlie Chaplin movie, and Robert Downey Jr. plays Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, okay.
It's called Chaplin, I believe.
Okay.
And there's a scene where they're, like, at a dinner party and whatnot, and Charlie comes in, and there's a Nazi there, but this is before the real rise of the Nazis, and he's just kind of casually talking about the Reich to everybody, and everybody's kind of thinking, oh, that's cool, it's a new hip sort of thing, and Charlie, he points it out right away how terrible of a thing that Nazism was, and then
holy shit, socialism. Are you saying that socialism's a bad thing?
Yes, a bad thing.
Wow.
No, and then
I just want to point that out real quick. The Nazis were socialists, just so you guys know. It's in the actual name.
Yeah, Nazi literally, when you take it apart, means National Socialist, and socialist is socialist.
Yes.
That's what it.
But anyway,
literally means.
Anyway, sorry.
My favorite thing of Charlie Chaplin's actually wasn't silent. He made a movie called, I think, like The Great Dictator, and he does a constant rip of Adolf Hitler, and this is while Hitler was doing his thing. And
Charlie Chaplin.
the government at the time, the government thought that he was a commie, a red, sort of thing, and
That Chaplin was?
yeah, and a fascist sort of thing. But he made fun of
understand satire.
and he made fun of Hitler all the
Wait,
time.
holy shit! Are you saying Charlie Chaplin invented satire?
No.
Oh,
Oh.
damn. Look who did.
I don't know.
I want to suck that guy's dick.
Okay. No, but anyway, he does a
hold your horses.
he does a speech.
Oh, shut up, Karen! Like you don't.
He. This is my intellectual talk with these bunch of people.
I apologize. I'm also sick right now, so I don't always sound like a dying
Cancerous amoeba.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Um,
that was actually
The
perfect.
first Roman to discuss satire critically was Quintilian, who invented the term to describe the writings of Gaius Lucilius. There's
shit.
your
There we go.
fun fact.
Wait. See what we have here? We need to have a goddamn Google moment.
We do.
Okay.
I was-
Anyway, sorry.
I was-
We'll do
Okay,
that.
we'll do that later. Right now, we're
I was
thinking-
talking.
Continue.
Alright, go.
Continue. Sorry.
Oh, wait, my favorite thing that Charlie Chaplin did was a speech in part of this Great Dictator movie, and it's a serious, completely serious speech. And earlier in the movie, he's ranting and raving in gibberish, imitating German, and and sounded like Hitler, but he's just like "Sprechen Sie bitte, and it's hilarious. And this is early when there was getting sound into movies, and
Yeah.
he was hesitant on bringing sound into his movies, and this is one of the first sound movies that he did. But he gives this serious speech about fascism and the Nazis, and he doesn't directly point it out, but he does. It's very metaphorical, and it's I recommend it to anybody. It's my favorite thing that Chaplin did.
Did they discuss that at all in the Chaplin movie that Robert Downey?
Yeah,
did?
it's a pretty big part in the movie.
Okay, cool.
This was in 1940. He did that.
Nice. Yeah, that's about the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Before the people knew that the Nazis.
So
were
so he
bad.
had the stash before Hitler made it popular.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even his real mustache. It was just a little one that he put on below
Really?
his nose. Yeah.
Really?
It was a fake mustache, but
Wow.
he did it first. And the first time he got into a movie set, they told him just to find a costume. He wasn't very popular.
Mm-hmm.
They told him to find a costume, so he goes in the costume room and he sees this weird little tuxedo
Mm-hmm.
tramp outfit, and he's got the cane, and then he sees this little mustache, and he puts it on, and the hat,
Nice.
and then he just creates this character that everybody knows as the Tramp, and I love Chaplin.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Ooh, who would be the tramp type character in modern films?
Well, it's got to be one of the physical actors. But
Wait,
they're not playing the character of the Tramp, which is.
What about Good Will Hunting?
I wouldn't say that's a
I mean, he's
Tramp.
not the tramp, but because if I remember right, and strike me down if I'm completely wrong in this, but wasn't he just kind of playing like a lowly janitor type?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was a very intelligent person. It's extremely
Nothing against janitors. Janitors are cool.
extremely intelligent person. I didn't think of him as the character of a tramp. I was thinking him as.
I guess so.
I wasn't thinking him
That
as.
wasn't a good time for him.
I didn't think of him as the character, the tramp. I just thought of him as the sort of underappreciated genius who doesn't want to be a genius. A tramp is.
Sorry, I have the dude meme as my as my text tone, and his timing is either perfect or absolutely not perfect. There's never an in between with it, so I apologize. Now we have to leave it in, damn it.
Okay.
Sorry, continue.
No. I don't know.
Talk about the tramp type.
Yeah, the
thing,
tramp
right?
is more of a clumsy sort of character.
Oh. Okay.
A poor, broke character, and one of the more famous Chaplin movies is a silent one, and he's the tramp, and he falls in love with a blind girl, and the blind girl believes that he's rich,
Oh, okay.
and he becomes friends with this rich man. The tramp does,
Mm-hmm.
but the rich man is only friends with him when he's drunk, and so every time he sobers up, he kicks the tramp out, but then that night the guy gets really drunk and
the tramp over.
yeah, and so, but yeah,
You know who's the tramp? I just thought of a tramp style character. The coach in Big Mouth.
God damn it. No. Come on. All right.
Have you guys seen Big Mouth?
No.
You guys need to watch Big Mouth.
I hear good things about it.
We'll talk. I'll bring it up in a second.
I'm basically done. Chaplin was a
Okay.
god. The end.
Okay.
So basically, sticking on the topic of movies, one of the worst movies I've ever seen of 2018 wasn't Slenderman. Surprisingly,
That was pretty bad, though.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it though.
It's bad.
Slenderman is an example of Hollywood being like 10 years late on a meme.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, it was done by Sony, and Sony hasn't produced very many
Oh yeah.
good things.
I mean, fuck, they produced.
It's kinda
fucking
on and off with
Emoji
Sony.
Movie.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Slenderman hasn't been a big topic for like 5 years, and now they're
Not ever
making
since
a movie.
Tobuscus was like all over that shit.
Yeah.
Not like all. Yeah. Oh, Slenderman was just a huge thing then.
Right.
We can go back to those simple times.
Right.
But
What was I watching the other? What was I was listening to or watching something.
what?
Maybe it was
What?
either the official podcast or Misfits.
Whoa.
I think it was official podcast because they were talking about creepypasta stuff.
Uh-huh.
And they talked about Slenderman and how that's where I got the saying that Hollywood was so late on Slenderman.
Yeah.
And they actually talked about how Slender the Arrival sucked, which I know that's pretty much what you built your channel on there, right on.
I like
No, I
Aside
played
from
that. I
Minecraft.
played that. I played Slender the Arrival quite a bit. I actually kind of enjoyed it on the simple story it was, but yeah, it was just a simple game. I think I remember live streaming it on a shitty Blackfoot internet. Fuck you, Blackfoot.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Okay, so
Shitty
basically,
internet.
the worst movie I ever saw was The Rake. You guys heard the creepypasta story about The Rake.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, they did. It wasn't like bad quality. It didn't look bad quality. There was a lot of gore in it, which the gore actually looked realistic. It looked good. But the writing and the story, oh my fucking god, it was the worst I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know who the characters were. It was all over the place all the time, and they had to bring in a big fat guy in order to like break the silence a little bit, like just for comedic effect until he gets his intestines ripped out.
Yes, that
But
is-
yeah,
that
Alright,
is
let's-
what all horror movies that happen. are
How
based
about we go around and say our favorite and least favorite movie of 2018?
Ooh.
That's a hard one.
well, you know mine. It's The
Okay.
Rake.
What's your favorite then?
My favorite? Ooh, I don't know. I watched a lot of good movies in 2018. Didn't the first Deadpool come out in 2018?
No.
No.
No,
The
2017.
second one did.
Deadpool
Second,
2 did.
my bad. My bad.
You asshole.
Shut up.
Uh,
Okay. Can it be like from a different like?
It's gotta be from 2018.
It's got to be from 2018. Okay.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
to look this up 'cause
I don't know.
Not
like-
that it's been our theme so far, but it's kind of supposed to be our theme of is
I know.
looking back.
I
on
mean,
2018.
Avengers: Infinity War was a very good movie.
2018 was such a long year. I forgot what came out.
I know.
Yeah.
Thanks to Trump, goddamn Trump, it's been such a long year.
Yeah.
God damn it, dude. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
dude, okay, so I know you, Redon, you haven't, you don't involve yourself in the news cycle that much,
I don't know.
but every week it just seems like a freaking year.
I don't really.
It seems like at this point Trump has actually been president for only 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
This
Fuck.
is year 3. We're getting into season 3 of Trump.
Jesus fuck.
Trump of
presidential edition.
Trump of
I
Thrones.
read this
I
presidential
thought
edition.
that was last year. What the fuck?
Right?
Oh, well, I don't really get
But
myself involved in the
here's-
news that
Think
much
about-
because
let's
I
think
don't. I
about
hate it. I
everything-
fucking hate it.
What is everything that has gone on since the Trump administration?
What's it? What number shutdown are we on now? 3?
2.
2?
I think 2.
Or is it 3? I swear it's 3. I think it's 3.
Because there was one that he did for just like a little bit.
Yeah.
And shit, what was that over? Was that over the taxes?
A movie came out about Steve Rogers? I didn't hear
What?
anything about that. Won't you be my neighbor?
It's a documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I might have. Oh, you know what did suck? I actually haven't seen it, but I heard it sucked really bad. Was The Crimes of Grindelwald. And
Yeah, I wanted to watch that, but yeah, I was kind of iffy on it.
yeah, well, I mean, seriously,
Fantastic Beasts
Go
was
listen to
okay.
the official podcast.
Yeah.
And Charlie, who is critical, he should
Ignore our podcast. Go watch others.
Yeah.
Hey, no, don't ignore it.
No, don't go watch theirs. Watch ours.
but if you like their style of podcast, you like this style. Because it's kind of just shooting the shit, whatever. But yeah, The Crimes of Grindelwald was just the most, like, they apparently, and honestly, I haven't watched a Harry Potter movie since the 5th one. I watched the beginning of the 6th, and as soon as I saw Harry flirting with a muggle in a train station, which wasn't even close to anything that happened in the 6th book.
Yeah.
You just stopped watching.
You know what happened at the beginning of the 6th book?
Oh.
It was Dumbledore meeting Harry's Muggle family.
Yeah.
That
And I think
hilarious.
that would have been great.
It was hilarious, but they skipped it.
But they also replaced the actor who played Dumbledore pretty well in the first 2 movies. You know, they replaced him and like because I remember
he passed away.
Because he died.
Because he died. Oh,
Yeah. That's
well, I didn't
why.
know about that. Okay, well,
And yes, that guy was a great actor, and he was definitely built for that role.
yeah,
But then, yeah, he passed away, so they had to find somebody else.
Yeah,
and the guy who replaced Dumbledore sucked ass.
yeah.
I
mean, like,
think it was more of a I've watched other works of the actor who plays the newer Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a great actor. I think it's more of
I don't even know who
a
he is.
writing. I think it's more of a writing issue.
Oh,
and
very-
a
very
directorial
possibly.
issue. Like I love this meme, and it's a part in the book. It's of the Goblet of Fire, and it says, "Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?"
Mm-hmm.
asked Dumbledore calmly, and then it's of the movie, and it's like it's
Did you put your name in the
Did you put your name in the- and it's like
Did you
him
put your
giving
name
him
in the Goblet
shaken
of
baby
Fire?
syndrome,
Right?
and I think that's a writing issue.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
they want to make the
you
movie more
totally
intense.
Lose the character of Dumbledore. Dumbledore is this calm, cool, collected, like just badass who, even when things are going crazy and shitty, he keeps his calm and he thinks it through and he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I think they only wrote it that way because they wanted more action.
Yeah,
in the
they
Harry
wanted-
Potter movie. Because
There's plenty of action in the Harry Potter.
I know.
Everything.
I know it is. It is. I don't know why they did that though.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then it shows like in the movie, like I remember Mom going off about this because she's a huge Harry Potter fan. But
Yeah,
she
our RedDaw and I are brothers, and our mother, we used to listen to we damn near have the Harry Potter books memorized on audiobook, which are written by Jim Dale and is done amazingly. You should definitely go check it out.
written by J.K. Rowling.
Written by,
narrated.
I never said read by
I
Jim
thought you
Dale.
said written. Okay, I thought that was weird. Okay.
See, J.K. Rowling was a really good author, right up until after the 7th book, and then she just kind of like, I don't know, tried to appeal to every SJW.
I hear the Cursed Child is a really good, but that's a
She has the
screen.
book.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a playwright.
I've yes, but I've also heard that the Cursed Child is also just like Harry Potter fanfic brought into life,
Yeah.
made canon by.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then like she posted a tweet that was like, well, I never said if Hermione was a white girl, and then somebody posted the actual description of Hermione from the first book.
Yeah.
And it was just
That's what
like,
I hate is artists who get political.
Right.
I don't care about your political
Here's going to be our
Just
transition
write-
into politics.
Just
thing.
write good stories. Fucking
But-
hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, in any sort of genre or any sort of art, I care about the art that you produce. I do not care about your political, association or anything.
Exactly. And actually, so I watched a series that I know you don't like. I don't think you know. And Richie, I try to make him like it, but I don't think he does. It's called Ruby. It's a American anime.
Oh, I love that.
You love Ruby?
Yeah. I
Oh my god! Okay.
love it. I love it
Thank you
so much.
I'm-
It's so good.
After my old my old friend Tyler was into Ruby with me, and Richie would talk to me about Ruby. So you and I are gonna have to talk about Ruby later.
I have to
but-
actually catch up.
Yeah, they're in the middle of season 6 now. I have a first account. I'll let you borrow,
Yes.
so you can catch up. I watched Ruby Rewind, which is them talking about like what happened, stuff like that, and they talk to like they talk to the
titty
voice actors,
blonde
stuff
girl.
like that. Hey, Yang is a badass.
Yeah.
She's really moody right now, but she also did lose her arm and has PTSD. So fuck you. Anyway,
I was
Okay.
just... My God, Joe.
spoilers.
I thought we were transitioning into politics here.
We are. Just give me a second. Let me go on my Ruby tangent.
Okay.
Because it does tie back into politics and actors being in politics. One thing they do right, because this is actually the second lesbian kind of relationship that they've introduced, but they didn't do it in a bad way. They go to this new city, and Sean's one of the characters, Sean, his sister is married to the lady, and they have a little child that they've adopted. But that's it. They don't focus on it. They don't make it a big deal.
Yeah.
They just it's there.
Yeah.
Perfect, great, fine.
Yeah.
I really don't care if there's
Yeah.
lesbians or
Definitely.
gay
As long as
people.
you don't shove it in my face like, oh yeah, we're lesbian.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, cool. Okay, you have
Yeah.
a child. Yeah, you're married.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Okay.
If that's what it's not what it's about. It's just there, and that's fine.
That reminds me of I watched this play last year at the state festival, theater state festival. I don't think you watched it. You were there, but I don't
I
think
was
you watched
there,
it.
but I don't know.
You drove bus.
Yeah.
It's called She Kills Dragons, or She Kills Monsters, and it's a terrible, terrible show. It's about Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
And I am-
God.
wait, well, no.
Oh, God.
At first, I was afraid. Now I'm petrified. No,
I need a hero.
Different
sing in
song.
this voice.
Anyway, so it's about this girl whose sister died, and she's playing a campaign that she wrote, and she's into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and through this story she finds out about how her sister was a lesbian, and how she played D&D with a bunch of her lesbian friends, and
after D&D they don't make out. And
I don't know. I don't remember
JKLOL.
it completely, but it was. I just didn't care by the end of it, you know.
Lols.
And
2007 lols random.
Oh, we're getting 2007 up in here.
but yeah, it was terrible, and
Hey,
that's
2007 was a good year. Fuck you.
You're right, yeah.
and that's a popular
Well,
play.
seven, so
That play is being
six.
played
Really?
is being done quite often.
Is it like a Broadway?
No, not
status?
Broadway,
Okay.
but it's popular among high schools specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
High
that makes
schools
sense.
are high schools are getting SJW.
I don't know if I said this yet, but I'm getting over a cold. That's why I sound like shit. Next podcast I'll sound better, hopefully.
Yeah. I remember I was like waiting for like my mom to get out of a meeting, and like a couple of kids were playing Dungeons and Dragons in there. I think I'm hated by the Dungeons and Dragons people as well. I'm like, I'm hated. I don't know why.
You should do like just like you did the video on MSP on Movie Star Planet.
On
you should
Dungeons
do
and
it
Dragons.
on Dungeons and Dragons.
you'll fail terribly.
Dakota will.
And then we'll show it at Dakota's next Dungeons and Dragons meetup.
No.
And then
Not
Dakota's.
I would
gonna
rather.
make a
I want to
segment
focus
that
on more.
disliking.
I want to focus more on movies and like things and actual like a community. Yes, I want to do a community again. Like I wrote a little script, saying like how this one man came from darkness and like shined shined upon like a community, the MSP community. Well, now he's coming back again to roast on YouTubers. Like
That's what you should do, bro.
Shit.
So since we're gonna talk about RedDaw obviously has a channel called RedDaw Boulder.
You should check
he
it out.
actually just had his 7-year. He's been on YouTube 7 years,
Yes.
I haven't
and
even
all 500 subscribers.
591.
Yeah,
We're close to
there you go.
600.
There you go.
Close. I want to do a funny little meme video when we hit 600, but
Do it.
that's
Do
gonna
it.
be a
Be like that kid who, that kid who did his 0 subscriber thank you.
And then
thing.
one subscriber.
Now he's
yes,
got, like,
now he's got
bajillions.
200,000
Yeah.
subscribers.
I hate when people are like, can we hit, I want to hit 10K without making a video, and they do, and I'm like, fuck you, faggot.
I mean, look at Jack
Right.
Black. I mean,
Yeah.
Jablinski Games.
He uploaded today.
He
I
did.
saw that.
He did.
So
They-
actually, I
they
want to
went
talk
old
about that.
school.
I want to talk about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cringe did you find that?
It was pretty cringy.
It was pretty cringy.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows how to. I don't like. Yes, in his first.
Thank you.
in his first
I was
video.
gonna feel bad that I thought that was so cringy. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought
Like
Jack
it's
Black
cool.
was
It's
bad.
cool that he went back to old
Yeah,
school stuff.
I,
I thought that was cool.
I really like the premise.
But I don't think he got the YouTube style
Yeah.
down yet.
As soon as he
He'll
started,
get there. He'll get there.
I
He's
hope
just
so.
a little
I hope
baby.
so.
I mean, he's a comedian. He'll figure
as
it
soon
out.
as he started singing Smash Mouth, I was like, oh god, dude.
Well, I was looking at a
Oh,
pinball
man.
machine, a Shrek pinball machine.
I get why
You
he
know.
did it. I get it. But at the same time, like I've been in one of those pinball machine warehouses. Very cool, by the way. Awesome.
I bet.
Last time I was down in Utah, I had a buddy who his uncle just collects those,
Oh,
and
nice.
he's got some really cool ones that I had some fun with. But yeah,
You're still-
that channel was kind of crazy.
You're still taking me down to California, right?
At some
Still
point,
promise?
yes.
Okay.
You forget that I make maybe a little half, if a little over half of what I used to make.
I know. Yeah,
So,
I know. I
Going to
understand.
California for free, brothers.
Yeah, but you also have to like run a bajillion miles, get yelled at a lot. So.
Yeah.
What are have you gone on YouTube and watched videos of
Beverly
people
Bear,
getting yelled
you
at?
pussy.
Oh yeah. Have you seen Black Friday videos of
Uh-uh.
boot camp?
No.
It's literally 2 weeks in. The first Friday, 2 weeks in, and they expect you to drill sergeants come in, and they like are testing you on everything. And of
Mhm.
course, it's still 2 weeks in, so you know nothing.
Yeah.
And after like, then when you
Those who
are
don't
about
know,
to go to-
Sam's here. He's going to the Marines.
yes, but like the
So
night
simplified concern.
after Black Friday, the barracks are fucked. There's beds, like there would be a bed in that corner and it'd be all the way in that corner over there. Yeah, they fuck
Do
you
they
up.
throw mattresses at you?
I'm pretty sure
If I was a drill instructor, I'd just start taking a mattress and just chuck them
as long as they
randomly in crowds.
physically don't like touch you and like they physically don't put their hands
Oh
on
yeah,
you,
because
they're
they're
good.
not allowed to do that anymore.
They can throw a box at you. That's not their physical form. That'd be alright.
Yeah. Richie, do you
remember
know
that-
that? Do you know that our uncle actually joined the military for a bit? Uncle Marty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in the military for a bit. He was honorably discharged because I think they realized he had a kind of a mental thing, which we now know he has Asperger's. But he just couldn't quite handle or cope or something like that. I'll be honest. If Uncle Marty listens to this, I apologize. I don't know the whole story. But he did go in and he talked about, I think either it happened to him or he saw somebody got a boot like just whacked across their face, right?
Yeah.
Like it used to be like you could beat the shit out of them. Like,
Early
not-
army sort of thing.
Yeah, very much a tough.
Full Metal Jacket.
If you've seen Full Metal Jacket, that's watered down. To
Damn.
be honest, that is actually watered down of Marine Corps boot camp.
Oh shit! Now I lost the topic. God damn it.
Nice, Richie.
Okay, I remember now. It's hard to believe because I looked back at a video of like Bob Ross and how he used to be. He used to be like those sergeants yelling at those privates.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine
Air
Bob
Force
Ross
was
just
like,
getting in their face and yelling. Bob Ross is just like kind and gentle.
After he left the Air Force, he swore to never yell again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the hair, it was an economic decision. He didn't actually like to grow his hair
Yeah,
out.
actually, I listened. Oh, fuck! Where did I listen to that?
I sent you a video. I think it was like.
Yeah, I think it was a video that somebody posted.
I'm not sure.
I forget where it was. I just remember I was in Great Falls when I was listening to it, walking through the stupid mall there. And,
Yeah.
There's no good
God.
malls in Montana.
No, there's
After visiting the malls in California, there's no good malls.
We
in
drive on horses and carriages everywhere, so...
Yeah.
Right.
We got no power.
We don't have
Got
power.
internet there? Talking on Skype? No.
You got
we don't
internet there? No.
I use
This podcast is steam-powered.
Yeah, it's steam powered.
In fact, Red Dog, you should probably go throw some coal in the engine.
Yeah, you're right. Hold on, I'll be right back.
We're gonna send this podcast through the mail to everyone.
Yeah.
We'll show up in a few months
Yeah.
because we deliver on horses.
We still have the Pony Express
Yeah.
up here. Basically. we hear that the railways are coming soon. But
Man, I can't wait till them railways get here.
I gotta wait
Goddamn
for 4
Native
morning
Americans,
pigs,
those
damn.
prairie dogs. The stereotypes from Montana
Carrots
are
over
hilarious.
what the fuck?
So
Taking the kids and leave.
okay, so one
Yeah.
movie I actually want to talk about is because I watched like a whole 30-minute video on this, and it was titled how Treasure Planet failed. But it was
What?
No, listen, let me explain. It was like
Sorry, I love Treasure Planet.
I loved
the soundtrack in that is amazing.
Treasure
The
Planet.
movies-
What I'm saying is Treasure Planet was one of the best movies Disney has created of all time. But the budget, the money they made off of that wasn't successful.
Yeah.
They didn't make enough money off of it. You okay?
Excuse me.
It's because I
Sorry.
took the kids.
You fucking took the kids!
I just said money and he's like,
No.
I smell pennies.
No. I'm sorry, I could've... I had a little bit of coke go down the wrong pipe, and I probably could have handled it if I didn't have a cold. But my throat's all fucked up right now, so that was just not good. That wasn't gonna end well, so I apologize. Anyway,
So yeah, but yeah, it didn't make enough money. Like it was such a good story, and like the animation they brought 2D into 3D so well, and
Oh yeah.
and there's like an animation program that's only at Disney that it's the same animation program they used to make Tarzan. But it was like perfect. It was amazing, but they didn't make enough money off of it. And plus, it was going against other bigger movies at that time, so it wasn't really that big.
What movies were coming out?
I'm not sure,
Did
but
the
like
first Star Wars prequel come out around that time? I think it might have.
I don't know.
Because
Possibly.
I think that movie came out when I was living, when we were living, me and RedDaw,
Look it up.
in Kettle Falls.
Yeah, but
Early 2000s.
Treasure Planet came out in 2002.
2002.
Really?
Yeah.
I was thinking like 98.
Yeah, look up shit that came out in
Oh, Disney
2002.
shit.
Because that was around the Pixar and Disney.
Well, that might have been right about when
Oh,
we
like
moved.
Lord of the Rings, the first Spider-Man, Signs,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Harry Potter
Yeah.
the second movie. A lot of those big movies were coming out, and Treasure Planet. If you seen the way it was advertised, it wasn't that like important. It seemed, but Treasure Planet was just a
I don't know, I
good
still
movie.
remember advertisements from back then, though.
I give
That movie was so cool looking.
The first Ice Age, Lilo and Stitch. You got
Oh, wow.
you got
Jeez.
The 8 Mile. You got Star Wars Episode
Wow.
Episode 2 was out by then.
What?
2.
Yeah.
The first
Star Wars?
Scooby Doo with
So, quick note.
one of the.
I feel like Treasure Planet did CGI way better than Star Wars 2.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, We Were Soldiers came out that time.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
a good
Yep, there's Treasure
I
Planet.
love
The
that.
Scorpion King came out that time.
Scorpion King is
Speaking of.
One of the Rock's first gigs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Spy
Winter
Kids too.
Soldiers,
Eh.
Ha! I love Spy Kids.
The
Fuck
first
y'all haters.
the first
I love Spy Kids.
that
XXX.
was good.
The first XXX.
But
It's a video game.
No, it's a
Triple
movie.
X.
they made
Triple
it
X.
into-
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, Triple X. I thought you said SSX.
No,
Like the
no, I
snowboarding
said
game.
XXX.
Oh, sorry.
But speaking of
Santa
We Were
Claus too.
Soldiers,
But Tim Allen. God
I
damn it.
think in November, Colonel Hal Moore, which was the colonel from We Were Soldiers, and he was the actual one that did all that shit and led the operation. He died at like 98 years old.
Really?
Like November, like last year. November or October last year. Yeah.
Damn.
What was the most crushing death of 2018?
You almost said Stanley. I heard it.
I almost said it, but there's more
You
deaths.
wanted to think about it first.
I mean, that was a very sad death, but you got there's a lot of great people passed away. A lot of great people passed away.
Mm-hmm.
You got the guy.
Be careful because 2017 had a lot too.
Yeah,
And
Definitely.
2016.
I feel like 2017 was quantity.
yeah.
2018 was a little more quality, but you still did have great actors like Snape. I feel bad because now I forget his name doesn't reach me right now. Karen, help me out here.
Celebrity death in 2017.
Who played Snape?
Mary Moore, John Hurt, Bill Paxton, Chuck
Shoot.
Berry, Don Rickles.
Chuck Berry died?
Yep, Chuck Berry died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I remember that.
I know one of the creators
In
of
fact,
SpongeBob. I think it is.
Karen and I talked about that back at the pizza place. About Chuck Berry dying.
Oh
Remember that?
yeah, I was crushed.
Yeah. We listened to Johnny Be Good all night that night.
Johnny Be Good was sent into space to be our first messages to any possible aliens.
Really?
Yeah. You know, last night on Xbox I was talking about the golden record that Jimmy Carter did a speech for that was
Yeah.
sent into interstellar space. Johnny Be Good, along with a shit ton of other songs from different cultures and eras, were on that record too.
Some aliens fucking using that as his dinner plate.
Ray Thomas,
gave
founding
him
member of the rock
directions.
group, the Moody Blue Knights, White.
Stephen Hawking, Arlie Ermy,
Yeah, he died this year.
Yep.
Arlie Ermy was the most crushing.
Vern
Wait,
Troyer,
who was Harley Army?
Avicii,
That was the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, right, okay.
Vern Troyer, Mini-Me.
Wait, Stephen
Yep.
Hawking died
Avicii?
in March? Jesus. It's been a while.
He just lost Wi-Fi connection. Give him a minute.
Yeah, I know.
The
So bad.
oldest U.S. veteran, Richard Overton, died
Anthony Bourdain.
December of 2018.
Clint Walker?
He was 112.
I feel like...
Karen, if you don't tell me the name of Snape, I'm going to say the N-word.
Whoa, hurry up.
You better hurry up.
Oh shoot, I can remember this.
I think one of the most crushing for me was probably Stefan Charles Stephenson.
Yeah, we lost
Aretha
in
Franklin,
November, President George
John
H.
McCain.
Bush, Stan Lee.
Neil Simon, a great playwright. Neil Simon was. Burt Reynolds, Mac Miller.
Yeah, we
That's right,
lost
Burt Reynolds. Oh, jeez.
When did Burt Reynolds.
Montserrat Caballé passed away. Darn it. She was an opera singer. She did a really good opera album with Freddie Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
And Freddie Mercury says she was the greatest singer in the world, and she said that he was an amazing singer as well. Stan Lee, Steven Hillenburg, George H.W.
They don't even. Oh my God! They don't even have That guy.
Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman.
I was
Jeez,
thinking-
you know what I had to think
was
about?
actually thinking Richard Allen.
I had to think about the
They
Family
don't
Guy
have that
skit.
guy off of.
I had to think about the Family Guy skit.
We are
where
number one.
it's Alan
They don't have
Rickman
him on this
talking to
list.
himself on the
Yeah,
on the
they don't have him on this
pre-recorded
list.
tapes
Who's the
for
greatest
like
guy?
the phone tapes. You know what I'm talking about? Like, hello, this is Alan Rickman. Please leave a message. Beep. Hello, Alan Rickman. This is Alan Rickman. Don't forget about the party tonight, or something like it was something on Family Guy. They're really funny.
Steven Hillenburg, George H.W., John McCain.
No child
I don't know, we
left
lost-
behind,
we
more
lost-
Like no child gets ahead. Common Core makes me depressed.
Common Core makes everybody depressed.
Stephen.
Constance.
Stefan Carl.
Stefan
Carl. We lost him. He was a huge
We are number
part. Yeah, he was huge in the meme community, and he died of cancer. But he was supposed to die like a few months earlier, but he held out
A few years earlier.
a few years, I think.
Yeehaw, motherfucker.
I don't know. For
And
me,
he
it's hard to
was-
decide which one was more tragic, Stephen Hawking or Stan Lee.
Being huge in the
Well, see, 'cause
astronomy, Stephen
Hawking studied everything about our universe.
Yeah.
Stanley created his own
Yeah.
universe.
Being
I don't know,
huge
that's
into
cool.
astronomy
I
and
know, but
space like I am,
we
Stephen
lost-
Hawking was a big blow.
We lost one of the greatest minds
Oh
Yeah.
ever. A man who had a higher IQ of Einstein.
yeah.
You know, theory of,
I mean,
theory
hell,
of relativity.
if you're fucking disabled, can't do jack shit. What else are you gonna do?
no,
Your-
well, he
work
was
your mind.
he was solving that kind of stuff before he was disabled too.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I recommend the movie that they made about him.
How did he get disabled?
It was a disease that he had that developed over time.
Oh, okay.
Sort of kind of like I can't remember.
I love the jokes he made about Family Guy. He acts like he's fake disabled, and he's like grabs a surfboard, see a bitch, and it's
Or when it's him and his wife having sex. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Oh, it feels so
Do me
good.
like that. You know that pitch meeting was just like somebody walked in, Stephen Hawking having sex, and it was like, yes!
Yes! Oh my God! Why can't I think of the guy who created Family Guy? Oh my God! It's such a simple.
That's,
Seth,
Seth MacFarlane.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember
He-
his name right now.
Yes, he may
There's
have
a Mandela
different political
effect
views,
about
but
him.
he's a comedy genius.
Oh, yeah.
He's
He's
fucking
hilarious.
brilliant.
there's a Mandela effect about him that was.
I love the fact because he says 10,000 or 1,000,000 ways to die in the West or whatever that was.
Oh, that was the funniest shit.
I thought that was hilarious, and he thought that was garbage.
Really?
Like, yeah. He talks about there was a Family Guy episode where Quagmire's like 1,000,000 ways to die in the West. Huh? That fucking sucked, or something like that.
I thought that was hilarious.
Anyway, Stephen Hawking had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
He had Lou Gehrig's. Oh shit.
Yeah, and
What
he
the
lived
fucked up.
a hell of a lot longer than people with that disease do.
Yeah.
I think he lived longer than fucking Lou Gehrig, the guy who
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
or who it was named after. It was a
Stephen-
baseball player, if you didn't know.
yeah, Stephen Hawking was pretty old when he passed,
Mm-hmm.
and he lived a lot longer than
Yeah,
people
wasn't
with
he
that
supposed
disease.
to die in like his 20s?
Yeah,
And he died at like 60 or something.
yeah, yeah. I mean, theory of relativity and the
I just got the thought of Stephen Hawking driving around in his wheelchair thinking, riding around in my automobile.
God damn it. Oh my god.
but
That's great.
I mean, I was looking into the theory of relativity and what black holes do to space-time,
Yeah.
and
Awesome.
well, you got to think of it as like a sheet, right? And it's stretched out like a canvas, and it's down. And you put a ball on that sheet, and it'll sink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that ball weighs the same, but it's the size of like an atom,
Yeah.
super tiny, and it's sort of weigh the same, but it's gonna go down a lot more because it's smaller.
That's all a black hole is. It's just a massive condensed ball of mass.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
and it's so tiny that it bends space
Mm-hmm.
and time and things that are moving into it, they are moving faster than the speed of light. And and when you get faster than the speed of light, mass starts to be converted into energy, and it gets absorbed into the black hole. Is my understanding of it.
And you get the mass effect, but then Commander Shepard comes in and saves us all.
I actually watched a Vsauce video on it, and if you were to
Vsauce is
We really get our information from highly credible sources.
I know he is a huge meme, but he is incredibly smart. He is.
I don't watch enough Vsauce, so I don't know.
But he was talking about if you were to jump into a black hole, and you would start getting there, and it would be pretty peaceful up until you reach the event horizon. The event horizon is when you're right there. If you were far away enough, you would be going into the black hole, then your body would just stop to everyone outside. And then you just kind of disintegrate like you were snapped by Thanos.
Yeah.
But what's really happening for you is you're reaching an event horizon and spaghettification comes into effect, and you literally just stretch out and then go into it, and then no one knows what happened.
Well, I mean,
but we're pretty sure you just died.
it's the sort of
It probably hurt
E
a shit ton.
equals MC squared sort of thing. According to theory, when you move faster than the speed of light, which is what you would be doing going into a black hole, mass starts to be converted into energy, and that's a problem that we have with trying to get spaceships to go faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
Because you'd be converted into energy.
Yeah. And that's where that starts getting into pseudoscience and sci-fi type shit.
Well, and that's because mass is energy.
Yeah.
That's the conservation of mass applies to energy too. You cannot create or destroy mass. You cannot create or destroy energy, but you can create. You can convert mass into energy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But what happens to that mass or that energy when it's converted? We don't know.
I want to point something out. We went from starting a Pornhub account to mass converting into energy.
Well, yeah.
So
see, we can do everything in this podcast.
we got. There is no way this isn't going to take off because we appeal to all y'all.
Oh yeah, we got science. We got
Except to
And we're going to use mass converting into energy to bring back Hentai Haven.
Yes, we must do it.
Bring it back, and I will bring back the kids.
If you believe in something enough, it will come back. Hentai Haven. I love that kid. I fucking love that kid. I love that kid.
That kid's like,
God, I can't believe they took down Hentai Haven. I can't see big anime titties. No.
He's this kid that like, no offense to Karen, but probably looked like you when you were like 10.
Probably. I look like a lot of people.
I don't know. Karen was pretty fit when I first met him. Yeah.
Karen's pretty big.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's why we all love Karen at first. Kids.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll have a different name next time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my god. Next time, fucking
It's a surprise. Mostly because I haven't come up with it yet.
I don't know. I've just been so much. I've been like, I want to know so much about space and everything about it. What's about this black hole? How's a star form? Or everything like that.
legit just watch Vsauce.
Yeah.
He's got a shit ton of videos. And
I love.
actually,
That was
he
my
makes it
favorite part
make
of
sense,
of,
too.
of any science class was learning about astrology. And
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely. I love.
Fucking love
I found
space.
even more interest in learning about why we haven't met sentient life. This is more of a philosophical sort of thing, and
Mm-hmm.
it brings up the idea of why do we not see aliens? Why do aliens not visit us? And there's a bunch of different explanations for this, a bunch of different reasons why this could be it. One of them being that we are literally the only planet that created sentient life.
Well, I think there'd be one of three. One, either we're the only one. Two, we're the most
Yeah.
advanced one.
Yeah.
Or three, they're just so fucking far away.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it would take
Well,
Or four, they're at the exact same spot we are.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, you have to look at the probability of us being here, which is so low.
or
Oh, yeah.
five, there is sentient life, but it's in the galaxy in the necklace of a cat.
Men in Black
Anyone who
shit
got
here.
that?
Shit.
Okay,
And
no,
Will Smith will save us all.
bringing up
Yeah.
It's
rewind time.
Okay, no,
Going into a black, coming
Anyway,
out of a black hole.
um,
Yeah.
No,
So-
what needed to happen was Will Smith being like, "Yo, it's rewind time," and then he brings up the little flasher.
That needed to happen.
That needed to happen.
But no, he just be like,
my
but
God.
no, what he had to do was,
I
want
YouTube
Fortnite. It's
fucked
just-
up again.
I want Fortnite.
Oh, that's
Fast
hot.
around me.
That's hot.
Will Smith needs to come with another video, and first he needs to come and not make it fucking Jaden Smith.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Something other than that. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But no, he needs to come out and be like, yo,
Wait.
most disliked video.
We just hit an hour,
We
boys.
just hit an hour.
Hell yes.
Our first actual hour.
Okay.
Not counting the one that we
You can
that we
continue.
deleted.
I was going on a philosophical debate until I was interrupted.
Sorry.
Rudely.
Continue.
I am taking the kids. Okay, anyway, so-
Continue. Sorry.
there's this idea that I've looked into, and it's called the Great Filter. And it's the idea that any sort of planet that has sentient life, that's the right space from a star, and has a moon is very important, with tides and all that sort of thing.
Is the one Carl Sagan came up with?
I don't know. This was just a little bit of research I did. But the idea is that if there were other sentient life, they had to come upon this great filter. And if they surpassed the great filter, then they could become a huge sort of intergalactic sort of species. And it's debatable on whether or not humanity has passed that great filter. Something that could have killed us all but didn't. Or if that great filter is coming.
I heard about
We're
that.
not an intergalactic species.
Okay,
Yes.
no, we're not. But this is over millions of years.
Yeah.
Already, you have to understand how long how our universe, everything, has been here for.
4
and-
billion years according
and-
to science.
And so the idea is that there could be other planets, being that how large our universe is and how old it is, that have had sentient life, but something has happened, a great filter, that stopped that from happening. And the idea is we haven't found that great filter, we haven't approached it, or we already have. Because there have been many times in humanity where there have been things that could have stopped us but didn't.
Yeah.
You know, we have like the Black Plague and things like that could have ended humanity, like Thanos snapping his fingers, you know?
That's a good point.
And-
Shit tons of plagues.
But it's also debatable that there could be a even larger obstacle ahead, and if we get past that, then we are on the right track for intergalactic, you know, sort of rule. And that's one of the reasons why we don't see aliens, is because every other sort of sentient planet has not passed that great filter, or they're at the same pace that we are, and they're about to pass it, or they have passed it and they're on their way to do that, but they haven't grown that big enough. That seems to be my most logical reason on why there isn't sentient life that we met.
Here, let's think about this though. So, let's say, we going on the thought that, you know, we believe a meteor hit us, and that's why the dinosaurs were extinct.
That was a great filter for the dinosaurs, because in the theory of evolution, dinosaurs could have evolved into sentient.
Well, that's where I was going.
I think I know where you're going with sort of Joe I know where you're going there. That could have happened. But they had their great filter early on, very early on.
So,
But we're still early on. We're still
We
very.
could have had crocodile people and spider people, but nah.
So
We had to have a meteor.
I want to
We get monkey
say
people.
this for the future us, if we are the most advanced species or sentient life out there.
Why the fuck are you? If you're the most, if this is billions of years in the future, we're going to space. Why are you listening to this goddamn podcast?
Are we really that popular?
This is history.
God, I hope so.
Historians are pretty fucking get into that shit, so I mean, they could want to know everything, and this. Might
And with
come
the
up.
internet now, like
So-
everything's easy to find.
Everybody
We are-
becomes Hermaeus Mora.
If we are the most advanced
We
sentient
fit
life
everything
out
but
there,
politics.
if we are the most sentient life out there, I want this message for the future: do not become their worst nightmares. You know how we have those alien
Yeah,
movies, them
yeah.
come here,
Yeah.
they wipe us out. Don't
Yeah.
become that. Be peaceful.
I think
If you're the most...
I think
yes,
we're
be
on the
peaceful.
right track for becoming a good superpower in the universe if we pass
I think so.
the Great Filter.
So we'll bring that into politics.
Alright.
Who's going to be the ruling government if we reach out into space? Because think about it. Is it going to be the United States? Is it going to be the United Nations? Is it going to be the
Yeah.
World Space Organization? Is it,
UNSC?
yeah, it's going to be the UNSC. Yes.
No,
Jesus going to rule us all.
The Space Force.
Oh.
You know, that's a very good point. I think it's
There's a speech that Pence had where he said, you know, we need the Space Force, which
and then they put Halo
amazing
music
name, by
over
the
it.
way. Then they put
Halo
Halo
It
music.
should have been the UNSC. I'm
Right.
pissed. If I ever become president, I'm changing the name officially from Space Force to UNSC.
Sans is on a really big Halo kick right now. So
I
you
love
know, follow his Twitter at Newt Recruit. But
In fact, you should follow all of our Twitters. Actually, then.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Lol.
But
But I'm not.
I like that word. That's my new word. But
I think it'll be whatever government is the superpower at the time.
So American.
And then, but I believe that eventually, and this is going to be a long
say
time.
that until Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez becomes
I know.
president.
Hopefully
See,
never.
this is why we need a smaller government. Because, but see, how do we handle that? What if we colonize Mars? Is it going to be just one world of American values, or is that going to be a whole other thing? What if they start worshiping
entire government?
the blue god
That's
planet?
that's the thing
Like-
too.
What I mean,
It's important to have different cultures. All right, if we had it just everything was America
agreed.
and everything was American values and America.
Okay, time out. Agreed, but let's be real in that America isn't just one culture.
No, it's not. It's a multitude of cultures, and that's
if
what
you go
makes.
between California, Montana, and Tennessee.
Mhm.
There's, I mean, that's three, and throwing Texas,
Yeah.
and New York.
Yeah.
That's five different cultures.
That's what America is founded on. But as technology rises and things become rudimentary and sort of inefficient, and we become, and it's going to happen. We're going to be more and more reliant on robotics and such, where we're not a bunch of ranchers up here anymore. Robots do that, so we live in the cities now, and everybody does, and everybody's doing the
Have you
same
ever
thing.
watched the TV show Firefly or
No.
seen its movies or
I
anything?
Great show.
hear.
Amazing stuff. You really need to watch it. It's on Facebook. Watch now. But the idea behind it, because it's the same as most space stories.
Yeah.
They expand out.
Yeah, they
and,
do, yeah.
And go. But the two main cultures that you see, and it shows it in the way they talk. They especially use it when, like, if they want to swear, they swear in Chinese.
Yeah.
Because the two largest cultures and superpowers on this earth right now are America and China.
Yeah.
And so American and Chinese cultures is what expands the most over the entire cosmos. I don't know. I think that makes a point as to why American values are so important. Because why when Pence said we need to expand American values, maybe not America. It's not like we're gonna we're gonna include we're gonna be the 50 states and a planet of America.
50 states and Mars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The star in a circle.
But that it's not the title of America, but the values that America holds dear is what needs to spread out. And why it needs to spread out faster.
I wouldn't say. Well, I'd be more specific.
While China's landing on the dark side of the moon,
Yeah.
is pointless.
Yeah, it
Fucking
is.
pointless.
Nothing on that side of the sea.
It's
Well,
the same
I
as
think-
outside,
I
but
think-
you can't see shit.
And
well-
we're putting Teslas on Mars.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I wouldn't say. I would kind of say values, but I feel like more our system of government. I think our system of government is the most superior. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think it's the most superior currently. And
yes, but that system of government can't stand without proper values.
exactly, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, But it's hard to do that. It takes time,
Agreed.
a lot of time.
Yeah,
To,
and that's what we're saying. Right? We've only been a country for what, a little over 200 years.
yeah,
And
we're a pretty young country.
Yeah, we're a
We've
very
still
young
got-
country.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of time to.
Yeah,
And we're
Fix
already
the
seeing
kinks and see
we're
if
already
we
seeing a
can
heavy
survive.
collapse of
Yeah.
that ideal that we were
yeah,
born with.
yeah. But and you got to think too. We were a very early country, but our values were so strong in the beginning that now we are a world superpower. We
Yes.
have the largest military in the world.
Yep.
If we cut our military budget by 80%, we'd still have the largest military in the world.
Oh sure.
All of our branches of the military each have their own air force. So, so you know, we're pretty big, and luckily our values are moral and straight, or else
Yes.
you know a lot of bad things would be happening. I'm not saying that
Generally.
bad things haven't happened with our
Yeah.
government, because they have. And
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you'd be ignorant to deny that, but
Yep.
for the most part, America has been a symbol of everything that is good and moral. And part of that, of course, is a lot of Judeo-Christian values that have been implemented. And I say the values and not the religion itself.
But see, but that's just it though. How do you implement those values without some sort of belief system?
Yeah. But that's also part of our government is you cannot impose a belief system on
You can't. Yes, you can't impose a belief system.
Uh-huh. I think you should recognize where those beliefs come from
Yeah.
and what started those beliefs, and so this is wrong, and it's like, okay, where do we get that from? Well, it says in the Bible, and people believe that in the Bible for a long time. So, and people who created our government were pretty moral and they were religious, so they put it into the.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not.
that's what, I'm not saying you have to believe in
Yeah.
a god of any sort or
Yeah.
whatever. But at the same time, so let's set up a hypothetical situation. Let's say America started becoming predominantly Muslim,
Uh-huh.
which has a very, whatever you think about Muslims, has a very different belief system than
Yes.
Judeo-Christian
Yes.
values. You have Sharia law, which is a very different belief system.
Yes.
In which some ways is more modest and guarded, but in the same sense it's censored and
Someone here?
I think car pulled in. Oh, I know. It's from the other house. Alright, never mind. We're good.
cool. I was gonna say it's almost 10. I don't know who'd be visiting us at this hour,
Um,
aside from the popo.
Anyway, what were you saying?
It's okay. Police chief is off for like 5 days, 6 days, something like that. With that separate belief system coming in, because America doesn't have control of religious. You know, we believe in religious freedom.
Yeah.
But at what point does that religious freedom start to hinder American values? And where's that cutoff point?
When religion defies the Constitution and goes against the Constitution, and if and that's the thing when our republic dies is when we start to slowly chip away at our Constitution, and
How much of that do you think is already chipped away?
quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's still quite a bit that's still there, that's still protecting us, but I think it could happen. I think it's very possible that it could happen, and I feel like a lot of bad, dark times are ahead of us in our country because of values that that could very well lead into a lot of things that a lot of other governments have it's led to the fall of a lot of other governments. I mean, you look at Rome. Rome was one of the first republics. Then they elected Julius Caesar, and Julius Caesar was I believe, he was elected. Hitler was elected too, but
Sure.
they chipped away. Julius Caesar chipped away at the values that the republic had created, and slowly implemented more and more dictatorial sort of ideas, and then Rome eventually fell. Same thing with.
Would you say that we've already had our Julius Caesar, or is he coming?
I'd
Or
say he or she.
We're equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
The Inspired podcast.
I don't think that it's here yet, but
Get in the
I think
kitchen,
it's
Karen.
coming. I think
I want a sandwich.
Alright.
I think it's coming.
It's a
Oh,
joke.
no.
Piss off.
I think that it's.
Because I mean, you could say I mean, okay, so let's look at our last three presidents. We've had Bush, Obama, and Trump.
Yeah.
Bush, Patriot Act.
Yep.
Took away a lot of American private security. Took away a lot of rights that basically the Patriot Act said if it can be justified in the eyes of national security, fuck the Constitution.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Obama put in a whole bunch of well, basically he tried to play dictator with the executive orders.
Yeah.
And Trump's been big on executive orders too. I say Trump has been surprisingly governed conservative.
Yeah.
But he still believes in government power like most Republican rhinos do.
Yeah.
And that he's okay with the expansion of government. So even if Trump doesn't accomplish much in his 4 and or 8 years as president, depending on what happens, it's still going to leave just a bigger power source for somebody else to walk in.
Well, that's another thing. I think we need somebody to put the pieces back together. I think our Constitution, like it's a jigsaw puzzle, and some of the pieces were taken away. And I think we need a constitutionalist and originalist. Not just one, but I think that it would have to be the Supreme Court would have to be full of them. The Senate and the House would have to be full of it, and our executive branch would have to be full of.
Is it possible to elect our way there over like 20, 30 years, or are we? Do you think we're so far past that it's just going to take a civil war?
It might take a civil war. It might happen. I think it could happen either way. But being the way that for a while I wanted to say that, our society is becoming more and more liberal and more left, but from what I see in more of like pop, sort of, I would say pop culture, but memes I found a lot of memes are very conservative, and that gives me a bit of hope.
Well, that's because the conservative sides are really good at memeing.
Yeah, well, but
the left lost their sense of humor.
I think
and
that
the left just posts,
look at Samantha Bee.
if you don't
I
care
think
for
that
this baby, please leave a like for this poor baby.
I think that Gen Z is going to be surprisingly more conservative than what we thought it was going to be.
I think
what
so too.
Millennials thought it was going to be.
Because I talked about this on my tester episode for Joe's Average Podcast. How I talked about it a little bit when I talked about, there's sometimes I wish that somebody would primary Trump in this upcoming election on the Republican side, because at what point, because I understand the argument that if we can get conservative values even with a shitty president, then we should go for it. But where do we draw the libertarian in me says, where do we draw the line on that?
Yeah.
Because at some point and maybe it's already past us, maybe it's coming, maybe it's now, I don't know. It's hard to tell without looking more into it. But at what point are we just finally like, well, we're just going to let the government take care of us, whether it's Republican or Democrat?
Yeah. And I think that this kind of goes back to my great filter argument. I think that if America falls, I think the rest of the world will follow. If America loses, everybody loses. And if America falls by the left taking over, and by the Constitution being completely usurped and destroyed, America will fall, and then ensue quite a bit of the world, and that could very well be our great filter.
And that's where I see the short-sightedness of pulling out of like Syria and Afghanistan and places like that. Is that just leaves a power gap open for like Russia to take over. So if America ever does stumble, Russia's going to be right there to step in and say, hey, we're the big power now.
And if America falls, let's hope that there's another form of government that's almost as powerful at the time, that is also as moral as America.
Well, I would say the only one that's closer there would be either Britain or the EU. But even then, that's super socialist, and let's not pretend that Russia hasn't stormed the entirety of Europe before. So
I think Great Britain is going to fall before the U.S. does. I think
I'm sure.
The EU, just in general, I think will fall.
Heck, just on Article 15 alone, you already
13.
Or 13, excuse me, you see the beginning of that.
Yeah, definitely. Article 13, obviously, as you probably all know, is like a limitation on the internet of copyright laws, more likely. But it really cuts down a lot of viewers. Like a lot of people can't really upload like certain content. Like maybe you want to use a funny song in this one, but in a clip of yours, but not. I mean, yes, you can upload it, but not can only the EU see it. Neither can the world, because it's a UK YouTuber from obviously from or the UK, the EU. That's affected by it. I mean, fuck. Remember that article when the Swedish guy got arrested for having like 23 gigabytes of memes?
Yeah.
And they were already enforcing it. Like,
wait, what? That was a thing?
that was a thing.
That was an actual thing.
Like right when the law came, they were enforcing it immediately. A Swedish guy got arrested for it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's just an instant killer on freedom of speech right there, and I think it's just absolutely terrible. And I've had people ask me, man, I'd love to go to live in Great Britain or Canada because it's just so cool there and everything's different. And, I would want to live there. And they're like, why? Because lack of freedom of speech, lack of Second Amendment. It's like, oh, that's not a good reason to not want to go there.
No, those
like,
are the best reasons.
those are the best
reasons.
goddamn reasons to not go there.
I can say what I want and I can protect what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't bump the table.
Like there's top 5 reasons not to live in the EU or Canada.
Yeah.
And First Amendment and Second Amendment is those top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's only 2.
I mean,
It's still.
it would be cool places to go and visit, but not to live.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's why I tell people if you want to go to California, go on vacation.
Yep.
It's a great place to visit. You get amazing tacos. You get amazing. You can meet some really crazy weirdo people that are just hilarious, and you can meet some really cool people. It's beautiful. California is gorgeous. Drive through the countryside. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Go to Solvang, a little Dutch community there. Oh, it's beautiful. And right behind Solvang is, there's San Ynez, there's Wilton, I think that's the name, which are both like totally separate communities in and of themselves that are just amazing. And even past that's the Neverland Ranch, which has its own thing. But I mean, there's so much cool shit in California. Go visit it. But there's almost zero reasons to stay there.
Yeah.
Because of the politics. The price of living is so high.
It's a sanctuary state there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of the Neverland Ranch, my uncle has a whole theory on it, and is probably the only one that I'm like, all right, because it deals with Hollywood.
The Earth is flat.
So Sam's uncle is a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, and
proceed with that.
Don't like him.
Yeah, continue.
But he has this theory that Michael Jackson, all those kids, we all know that kids and even adults were sexually harassed in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up. But he has a theory that Michael Jackson would actually take these kids, give them sanctuary, and protect them from it. And then Hollywood just blamed him that he was the one fondling the kids. And then he was like, well, I'm just going to come out about it. And then they just fucking killed him. And I was like, I don't know if they killed him, like maybe, but I do believe that he was maybe protecting the kids, and they blamed it on him.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Hollywood's a fucked up place.
Oh yeah,
Hollywood's
they
fucked
created
up
this
enough
whole
to where
sort
I'm
of.
like, yeah, okay.
They created this whole culture. You
yeah.
talk about like rape culture on college campuses.
Hollywood was ahead of its time in taking the narrative and running with it.
Exactly.
And conservatives still haven't caught up to that
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, and it's absolutely terrible, and they just over sexualize everything in Hollywood.
Hollywood created rape culture.
Yeah, I
agree with
sincerely believe that, and it's being.
Well, I guess I agree with that in the confines of time in America. Yeah. Like if you want to really talk about rape culture, we can go back in history and look at all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as America's concerned,
as far as
Hollywood
rape culture
really
in
started that.
America, Hollywood really jumped it up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, heck.
How far in are we?
1 hour and 23 minutes.
Hey, that ain't bad at all.
No. I thought we were gonna go to 2 hours for all the stuff we were talking about.
That's actually pretty solid.
That is pretty solid. I actually want to talk about.
We can go a little longer.
Space more.
Okay, we
Space.
can
I was thinking about because in ecology we recently learned about surface area, like different animals and stuff, and how like bigger animals with a lower surface area, I think it is, live in like colder climates, while smaller animals with bigger surface area live in like hotter climates. I wonder if if a planet that was made, like obviously, let's say if a human was on there, obviously if because the human body can adapt to different temperatures in over time. So like humans can probably adapt easily over to maybe 100 degrees every day, almost like maybe they do fucking down in Texas. God, I don't know how they handle that, but I mean, yes, but like in Africa, like you saw in those photos, like those Africans have like longer limbs. They have a, I think, smaller surface area. My bad.
Smaller surface.
So to try to lose heat, while we have like little shorter limbs and stuff to try to keep in as much heat as possible.
That's a theory of
fat, obviously. Yes, fat is a part.
That's the sort of theory of Darwin sort of theory. That over
that's
time,
the Bergman's Adam's law.
over time, people or any sort of animal of any sort adapts to its.
And I get where you're going with that. So, what you're trying to say is instead of like going to Mars, which is in the Goldilocks zone of our solar system, we'd go to like Mercury. Over time, we could adapt to Mercury's.
Almost, but I feel like Mercury is a bit too hot.
Well,
like,
some of those
Mercury's really hot.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
some of
there's
those
a temperature where we can resist before.
Mercury's like right next to the sun. You're gonna burn. And Venus is just like one big volcano.
Yeah, some of these problems.
So.
I'm pretty sure that we couldn't colonize any other planets other than Earth and Mars in our solar system, because they either have very intense pressure there that we would die instantly no matter how much we acclimated to it. We'd have to be a completely different species.
But yeah, that's also like meaning like pressure, temperature. You know, everything has to work correctly in order for like humans to live on there. Obviously,
some.
And I get what you mean by like the small percentage of the planets actually happening. Like Earth was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
What about like moons of Jupiter?
The moons
Possibly.
of Jupiter, actually, the nearest.
Thanos was born
system.
on one of the moons of Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
Titan. Thanos was born on Titan, moon of Jupiter.
Shit.
Thanos is from our solar system.
But there is a solar system. The nearest solar system to ours has.
Which
no,
was a shitty video game.
That's the galaxy.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm talking solar
system. Okay, right.
There are 6 planets on this solar system that
look identical.
That are Earth-like.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about those.
The planet that is least like Earth is still like 75% like Earth.
Wow.
Yeah. And one of those places that is, I think is like 80% like Earth, is actually a moon of a planet that has rings. So we could live on that place, and when we look up, we could see another moon and this huge fucking planet.
How fucking cool would that
be? Awesome.
That'd be dope.
But like you said, with sort of acclimating to things, those planets would have different gravity.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Different atmospheres, different levels of the way their oxygen is and everything. Tides, temperature, seasons. Like for instance, Game of Thrones, seasons last for years. So you have like 7 years of winter and like 7-8 years of summer.
Yeah.
And if it depends on how fast the planet orbits its sun, seasons could be a lot different.
I saw a video like
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. Anyway, I saw a video like of some interesting planets. Like there's one planet that's clearly water and has in its core, when it's so pressurized that it's not like frozen like water at all. It's like the water's so compressed, it's like compressed ice.
Yeah, that's what.
It's not. And another.
So it's liquid, but you can walk on it.
I think.
Holy Jesus!
It's ice.
I think that's actually. I think that's actually how. Now don't laugh. This is the name of the planet. Uranus is. How that planet is. I think that's how Uranus is. Yeah.
I thought it was a gas planet.
Jupiter's a gas planet, and Saturn.
Yeah.
And I think Uranus does.
Uranus and Neptune are gas planets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Uranus is less gassy.
There's another planet apparently that scientists said.
I don't know. Name it something different. Easy.
They're probably like, hey, that's Uranus now.
Name it fucking Coca-Cola.
How would humor begin in the 3rd grade? It wouldn't. We need a Uranus planet. It is mandatory.
But we don't need Pluto as a planet.
Bring Pluto back. Have you actually seen
Pluto
pictures
Make
of
Pluto great again.
Pluto looks amazing.
The pictures of Pluto. These are the best pictures we have of Pluto, and it's actually a lot different than we thought. God damn it.
Now I'm on this side of the microphone, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I'm over here by myself.
I gotta go take a piss at some point.
Yeah, I think we
This
should.
is the best image we have of Pluto.
Shut up.
And it really shows, like,
Oh, wow.
it wasn't what we thought. We thought it was kind of like the moon, but you can see ice caps right there, soil and shit.
Wow.
It is mostly ice.
Yeah,
like
obviously.
we
Because
thought,
it's far
because
from
it's
the sun.
far as fuck.
I can't
So there's
remember.
like that small, like not ice continent that like maybe
So-
faces
Also-
the sun.
It also has these little
Which also
spike
could
things
bring
that
an-
come off of it
Well, that's cool.
that are the size of the Rocky Mountains.
Holy
It
shit.
Okay.
has Pluto
So-
has mountains.
So basically, you could also bring that into theory. What if Pluto was a part of another solar system that had a colony on it before it came over here? I feel like some like theories would come up
Yeah.
with that. But
I
obviously,
I kinda wanna,
if it was in the right place, like Earth was, like right there, I think it could be colonized. If
So you say we get a big rocket ship and pull Pluto
yes.
next to Earth.
what do you guys think of sort of dimensional
Vaginas, I
theory?
love them.
Dimensional theory?
So for instance, you have the first dimension. The first dimension is a single point. It does not move. It has no dimensions. It is a point. Second dimension, 2D, is like an ant walking across a table. It's
Yeah.
it's flat.
3D
like the
is
Earth.
3D is like me grabbing.
3D.
Yeah, 3D is us.
Grabbing
The third
Sam's
dimension.
spot.
Yep, that.
Now the fourth
that.
dimension. The fourth
That.
dimension is very well explained
Sorry, Tom.
in. The fourth dimension is very well explained in Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. You have the doors. The doors are so you go through a door and you're here, and you come out of the door and you're here. All right, that's the idea of the fourth dimension. I'm gonna borrow this here. So let's say
Wait, damn it.
no.
Okay.
So let's say
I
you.
understand.
This is an idea of the fourth dimension. You are here, right? You
Uh-huh.
want to get over here.
Yeah.
The way that people in the fourth
God, this is
dimension
gonna
would get
work
there.
really well for an audio podcast.
I know. The way that they would get over here is
So imagine
by
if-
accessing the fourth
so
dimension
imagine,
and
Talk
going
about
through.
wormholes.
So imagine.
That's the idea.
That's how wormholes
Yeah.
But
work.
there's an idea that, and this is
Okay.
the sort of idea of some people think of the people in the
So,
fourth dimension
Dakota.
as a higher level sentient
Can I
being.
explain real quick so people will
Yeah.
understand? So let's say like you're in Montana and you want to go to, let's say, fucking, I don't know, Croatia. So you walk through a door and then suddenly you
It's
end
like
up in
teleporting.
Basically, yeah, I was gonna
Tele-
say it's
yeah,
just like
tele-
teleportation.
But it's
There you go.
instant, and you're
Croatia.
creating.
Now look up Croatia.
That's because
Because
in
nobody
the
knows
fourth
what that
dimension,
is.
nothing is linear. Nothing is
It's Asia, but it's a lot of crows there.
nothing is linear. Nothing is linear. Not even time is linear in the fourth dimension. So that's why they believe.
That's how they get the time travel shit going.
So
Well, yeah.
for the audio,
So Doctor
he's
Who's
talking
in the
about
fourth dimension.
how a wormhole works. Instead of, if you wanted to get from Montana to Croatia,
Yeah.
instead of flying there, you would fold the Earth into a U shape and then just kind of drop down
Yeah.
from Montana onto Croatia.
Yeah.
So you'd have to find a way to fold the Earth for you without
No.
affecting.
No, this is the idea of the fourth dimension is
Yeah.
they're in a higher level. We can't see them, but they can see us. We can see things in the first and second dimension.
Mhm.
All right, but people, but
Are there
beings
people in the fourth dimension?
beings in the fourth dimension can see
don't
us,
know.
but we can't see them. And if they interact with us,
It's heaven.
if this is kind of
Maybe.
this
Where's
is a
he-
sort of God. This is all theory, of course, but this is sort of possible idea
Well,
of
that's
God.
crazy. Okay, so
But there's
the
other
way
dimensions.
God's been described to me, and just in one idea, is that God sees time like we see light.
Yeah.
So like how I see light and I can see distance through light,
Yeah.
God sees time in that same sense. In that same sense, which would be a fourth dimension.
Yeah, but there's
type of
there's
view.
theories of even higher dimensions than the fourth dimension that we have no idea about.
Yes, that's-
because what we start off with just a point, then we start off with a plane. Now we're in a three-dimensional plane. What comes after that? The lack of a plane, and you just move from there to there, and there is no time. What's after that? That's the question.
Yeah.
You know,
Shit.
what is in the fifth dimension?
Pornhub.
Pornhub.
Hentai haven.
Hentai. That's the sixth.
That's
dimension.
where Hentai Haven went.
That's
It
the
went to the fifth dimension.
The sixth. It's at the sixth. Pornhub, Hentai Haven, sixth.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna take a piss real quick.
And then the seventh is Big Chungus.
Big chunk is
God damn it! No,
Thank
no.
God. Thank God this podcast went back to something hilarious.
Oh.
I'm looking
Alright,
forward to
so
that. I'm gonna take a piss.
But yeah, I love interdimensional theory.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's very interesting, and it's hard to understand higher dimensions, being that we don't experience them.
So-
but it's easy to understand lower dimensions because they're, you know. Am I interrupting you?
No,
No.
Mikey keeps banging the table.
Oh.
Sweet Jesus, yes, this piss feels so good.
I don't know if the microphone's picked
I don't
up.
think that
Maybe
picks
we'll
it
see.
But we'll just.
But
I see a little tiny.
yeah, anyway, we can see things in lower dimensions, but we can't see things in higher up dimensions.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
So like if we were to
Shut up!
go into the second dimension as a third dimensional thing, like if I put my finger down on the table, the ant would just see the very tip of my finger. There's no width. It's just
definitely.
a line. And so that's the sort of idea. We can't see anything in the third dimension, but we can imagine it. But we have no idea what's capable in the fifth dimension. But beings in the fourth dimension
Talk about the irony
can't
of
have an
being
idea.
a fat guy wearing an Adidas shirt.
Yeah.
So back to like colonizing
Oh,
another
shit.
planet. Elon Musk wants to make a Mars base within a decade of right now.
He also thought
The
about.
dude's fucking Tony Stark.
He also talked about the idea of creating an atmosphere. In I can't remember the exact science behind this, but you nuke both poles of Mars, and in a certain amount of time, because of the radiation or whatnot, an atmosphere will eventually form on Mars. Because there was once an actual.
Mhm.
There's an atmosphere on Mars. It's just nothing.
It could,
It's not even close as strong as ours.
that could work because in the summer months, Mars's atmosphere it heats up a bit, and the ice evaporates and makes an atmosphere. It increases its atmosphere that it already has by 30%.
Can we all do something at some
So,
point?
If
We
you
all-
nuked, hold on. If you nuked the both poles during that 30% increase, it could definitely kind of pollute it more and trap some of the heat in, and then just
Top sitting in the corner of the class.
it would
This
just
would
melt
this would
the
happen
ice.
over a very long
Oh
period.
yeah,
of time.
it would melt the ice, and then we would have water on
Yeah.
Mars.
But
actual
I believe
drinking
scientists concluded that Mars did once have an atmosphere
Oh, yeah.
about as strong
water. It definitely.
as Earth's.
Now, how big would that nuke have to be? Because we've had nukes on this planet,
Yeah,
and
the biggest
our
has to be
atmosphere
big.
is still.
You know
The
the
biggest
Star
bomb.
bomb?
Yeah, the
Star
star bomb.
bomb.
biggest nuke ever.
Mm.
That was launched by the Russians.
It
50 megatons.
Yeah.
it
It'd have to be
created
bigger
a
than
shockwave that went around Earth 3 times.
Wow.
They were planning to
Probably
make
have to be about
100
that big.
megaton. 100 megaton, but they never went in the plan. It never went in the.
We'd
Yeah,
probably
it'd have
need.
to be about that big.
And they
Maybe even
and they
bigger than that.
dropped it on a small island, which was actually kind of colonized by a few native people, and they're fucking gone.
Holy shit! Could you imagine being those native people? They're like-
Zuckerblit!
Hey, fuck you.
Dos Vadonia
Okay, but hey,
Suka!
okay, so real quick, I'm gonna get away from the mic because I'm sure I'm gonna be way too loud in it. Can we all sit down at some point and watch the Joe Rogan Elon Musk podcast?
Yes, we'll do it.
do
after
they
need to
do
do
they
that.
go into deep conversations?
Oh my god, dude!
All right, we'll do it.
Just
after
because I was drunk the last time I watched it doesn't mean it wasn't deep.
All right, we'll watch it after we're done here.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
So-
that'll be our next topic is talking about that.
The nukes
Next-
on Mars could definitely work, but it could also knock it out of axis.
It
And that
could.
would really fuck it up. We'd be
Yeah.
screwed. We wouldn't be able to colonize Mars.
Yeah.
Earth, because the sun is expanding, Earth would be consumed by it. We wouldn't have. We'd be done.
Now another
Yeah.
theory of Mars is you know those some images sometimes that you see from NASA or something, like they think they saw an alien or a
Yeah,
footprint
yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
And
Morty
a
did.
theory
Shut up.
a theory is we're gonna go on there, we're gonna find the big white fucking glowing thing, and it's like destiny all over, you know.
No, I said Morty.
Morty.
Morty saw a
Rick and Morty.
smudge on the moon.
Huh?
Right, it wasn't Mars. It
It
was
was
a
on the moon.
smudge on the moon.
Yeah,
But it was really a dude who often looked like a smudge.
on the moon. And he killed himself.
Oh god.
because of
But-
Morty.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how Rick and Morty needs to come back now?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Isn't it coming
maybe
back in, like, April?
the atmosphere was getting
I think.
April,
to-
that quick?
I don't remember.
God, I
Or is that
hope
just
so.
Game of Thrones? I think it's
Richie's
just Game of
being
Thrones.
intellectual for once.
Like-
Sorry. Okay, wow.
Well,
Yeah, right.
like,
Well,
and
shit,
how
we need to
and
pay
how
attention.
like the atmosphere, you know, how it started getting fucked up and shit, and maybe I don't know how it
RedDaw.
would work. I don't know how it would work. Why would you call? That's not even my name. They went underground. I don't know how. I don't know if it would affect, like, let's say, like, if our atmosphere was, like, fucked up somehow and we went underground. Would that still affect us somehow? Or, like, do you think if...
That's weird because...
We would need...
Or do they go underground enough to where, like, they don't get really affected? Or is it, like, a different temperature change? Or maybe, like, right in between before the core... And yeah,
well,
I
the
can't
sun
give you
expands.
completely lost what was going on.
Because of the sun expansion, we could probably hold out, because the sun will expand so much in like 4 billion years that our surface will look like Venus's. But maybe we could withhold it up to the last second underground, because we could maybe withstand the radiation underground, because I mean our soil is pretty fucking thick
yeah.
and does keep shit out. Thick. But eventually it would expand so much.
We talking like Jessica Negri thick.
Pretty
okay.
damn thick. But the sun does expand so much.
You need to look at more Jessica Negri.
The sun does expand so much that
Yeah, David.
we could hold out for a bit.
She's so thick
but
I
the
give her
sun,
$1 a month on Patreon.
This is the sun. This is the earth. It would eventually just consume us.
Yeah.
If I ever get more money, I'm gonna up that.
But
Fuck!
And maybe...
Fuck!
And
then we're gonna lose our ice in the fucking...
Garbage
What is
can.
that? In the garbage.
And do you think, like, maybe, like, if the sun, expands over the time, and maybe we find Mars to be suitable now, like the sun expansion, the Earth is not suitable anymore, do you think we could probably move to Mars if it's suitable?
We'd be a lot closer to the sun at Mars, though.
we
So-
could
I don't know.
probably go to Mars now. Because, okay, so there's a
That was
Goldilocks.
fucking
There's
funny.
a
Fuck
thing.
you guys.
There's a thing, the habitable zone in each solar system. It is how far away you can be from the sun and
And how
still have
close you
life
can be, too.
and
Yeah.
still live. Mars, they also call it the Goldilocks zone. Just right. Mars is in our solar system's Goldilocks zone. So
Just
if we
barely
went
in
there,
it.
it's like,
Joe, pass me up.
it's probably a couple,
No, I don't want to get this.
probably 1,000,000 kilometers.
Can you pass me Coke or Pepsi? I don't care.
You get it, Pepsi.
But
That one, cool.
Mars is probably 1,000,000 kilometers from the edge of the Goldilocks zone, so it's still pretty good.
Mhm.
We could have a fair chance. We just have to create an atmosphere first. We could nuke it, but that could fuck up the axis and everything.
Yeah.
My thing is, we have nuclear energy now, but our nuclear energy now is clean. If we went back to 1950s nuclear energy, when it polluted a fuck ton, we could do that instead of, just fucking nuking it.
Yeah.
We could just pollute it with nuclear energy, warm up the atmosphere, that'd warm up the ice, turn it to water. We could maybe plant some shit. This would take a long time. Like, if we were to do it...
We're
the
talking like
quickest-
hundreds or thousands or millions of years.
If we were to do it
Now.
literally as fast as we can, it'd still probably take about 100 years to maybe grow one plant.
And take over more years, like over
Yeah.
thousands of years. To
So
actually
I did
get
quite a bit of research on nuclear energy, and I found that modern nuclear energy, to power a family of 4 from the kid's birth to year 17, the amount of waste produced would fill a lighter.
I fucking told you that.
No.
You did. He
Yes.
did. I remember Joe saying
I
it.
remember
Yeah.
that too.
This right here.
Yes.
Your fucking tri burner shit. You more than likely you and I just watched the same thing I mentioned.
Yeah, we did.
But-
We watched the same.
Ben
I'm
Shapiro.
taking credit,
It was
like
Ben
ISIS.
Shapiro. It was
No,
Ben
no.
Shapiro talking about it.
Anyway. Anyway.
I'm trying to get to the point where we're gonna need to wrap this up soon. 'cause
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying
I know.
to derail it enough.
Anyway, it fit into a lighter, and if we only relied on nuclear energy, I think we'd have enough waste to do that as well.
Yeah.
And we'd stop, and so no greenhouse gases would be produced. No more bad effects would be done to our environment necessarily.
Yeah.
And then you get Fallout 4, and then because that.
Well, these modern nuclear reactors have like a close to 0% of melting down
And with
or exploding.
with nuclear reactors having a shit ton on Mars, it's not necessarily about creating pollution to create the atmosphere. It's about creating so much heat that the atmosphere can't release enough heat in time to cool it back down to what Mars usually is, which is like negative.
So
30
wait,
some.
so would it make it? Would it create its own atmosphere, or would it eventually leave? So, or would that heat eventually, over like 1,000 or million or whatever years, leave? So that we would have to nuke it again.
It probably wouldn't leave because eventually you'd get hot enough that the ice would melt, the ice would heat up, or it would evaporate, carbon dioxide.
And then you get
And
like
then,
the weather circuit, like
yeah,
the water cycle. The
uh,
water cycle. There you go.
yeah,
I remember
water
something from
cycle.
7th grade science.
Yeah,
man.
we'd have a water cycle. We'd have
Water
climate,
cycle.
We'd have climate on Mars.
Next cycle.
Really, what it is kind of kicks like what you would do if your battery died on your car. You just kind of jump start it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we would be doing, because
So we'd be jump starting the atmosphere with what?
Nukes.
yeah, pretty much nuclear heat from.
Oh, the
So what you're saying is every
again.
like couple
Nuke
thousand
it.
years we'd have to like evacuate the planet of Mars, nuke it, let it sit for a couple hundred years, and then come back in.
Maybe. I'm
Alrighty,
pretty
I'd
sure,
say we
I don't think we have to nuke it. I think we need just nuclear power plants.
To start a fire.
That there's nothing to start a fire with.
You put cows there, they release greenhouse gases from their farts, and we have an atmosphere. That's how it
mean,
happens.
Yeah, that would work, but there's nothing for them to breathe or eat. So yeah.
So that means we have Mars steak. You know how much
Better
people
than
would pay
Wagyu beef.
for Wagyu.
I just imagine like if we do
Hardly is,
colonize.
but I wouldn't pay $20 for
I just
for
imagine-
Wagyu.
I just imagine if we
Yeah,
do
so that
colonize Mars.
$20 for Mars Wagyu.
We just imagine like we colonize Mars and our technology is so advanced that like terabyte internet, that's like so advanced.
Mhm.
Soon it's like, oh, like what's next up from terabyte? I don't fucking know,
I don't know.
because I know there's
But-
more than a terabyte.
Okay, we're starting to get into a new topic.
Okay,
Let's kill it here because we're at like an hour and a half.
Alright, first
Yep.
of all, I want to
Hour,
really
almost 50
clarify it.
minutes.
So, what we would do is just create a shit ton of power plants. They would heat it up during when the summer months of Mars, when the atmosphere is already 30% higher what it usually is, and then that would melt the ice, and then water cycle. The ice that would make carbon dioxide, and then we're pretty much jump starting it. Then we can just kind of shut off the nuclear power plants, and then it would kind of just do it itself. And then it would just create the atmosphere, and then the water would melt. We'd have water on Mars. We could start planting shit, and then life. Although Mars, we haven't found enough like nitrogen on Mars, so one of the things that we would have to do ourselves and be artificial is nitrogen, because that's one of the main things in our atmosphere is nitrogen. So we'd have to do that ourselves, unless we dig deep down enough that we find nitrogen. Yeah, that's about it.
Colonize Mars. All right.
Yes, colonize Mars.
So, all right. So that we're gonna cut off there and call that the end of the podcast.
1 hour
Episode
and
0.
47 minutes.
Dope.
Great podcast, I
Right?
believe.
That was solid. That was way better than the one we started out with. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy
I
with that.
really like that podcast.
That was solid. Okay.
I think
I might
I think what we
listen to
should do.
myself.
If we,
I know.
I think what we
it
should
might
do
be
if
worth
we-
me putting my time and effort
Oh
into.
yeah, I think if we have enough time, like we should do a 30-minute warm up of just talking about random stuff, and then
I'm
go
cool
into
with
the
that.
actual
Yeah, I like that.
podcast. Because
Yeah.
I think we were just warming up on stuff, and then now we're actually talking
Yeah,
about
that was
interesting
perfect. Cool. All right. So thank you for listening to the Uninspired podcast. Remember, everything we talk about on this podcast is 100% guaranteed to either improve your life or give you cancer. One of the two, especially the nuclear shit.
It's like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Gotta take a chance.
enjoy it. Hopefully next week I won't sound like a dying malignant tumor. Yeah,
And-
enjoy it, folks.
Before we leave, make sure our Twitter accounts. What's yours?
Oh yeah. So mine is Political Pizza J. It's political. It's all one political pizza, and then just a J at the end. And you can also follow my stories on politicalpizzas.com.
Yeah, you can say.
And my Twitter, sans here, is at Micah_LeBaron. Don't misspell this shit, 'cause I'll get it. I know it's hard to spell. MICAH_LEBARRON. Alright? Get that, alright? A lot of people misspell it. Don't
Which
do
is
that.
completely a fake name.
Yes.
Karen doesn't have a Twitter.
Fuck you, Kane.
You don't have a Twitter? That's how we communicate. How do you not have a Twitter?
It has my name in it, so I'm not sharing it.
Oh, what a little
Fuck
bitch.
it.
Okay.
Okay, you can follow me at.
I'm gonna tag you.
Next week you better have a fake Twitter called Karen.
Yeah,
next-
that's a
or
fake
something like
Twitter,
that.
Next,
and I'll tag
so you can follow me
in
at my Twitter at RedDawn_Boulder. Of course, I do. I post a lot of memes and a lot of random shit on there. Obviously, I don't really go into anything political.
He's
I
getting
just-
better and asking for more Siege videos.
Yes.
Yes, I do got a couple clips, actually. I do got many clips I want to do, and that I have right now, and we'll see how that goes.
Nice
Maybe
podcast.
I got to get back on the Siege and see how that goes.
Yeah,
but
we
I'm
need
pretty
to
sure
do
I
that.
fucking suck. I'm going to make a video
I'm
make
telling
fun of
you,
myself.
bro.
So-
I'll pay the $10 for you to get Game Pass, and we got to play some Division together, because that'll be fun.
I have the Division.
You have it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
Dad
yeah.
has it, so
Dude,
I have
let's
it.
play it.
Okay.
I want to play it.
Alright.
Okay, so all right,
I'll maybe
so
live stream it.
next podcast, we're actually going to go right now and watch the Elon Musk Joe Rogan podcast, because I've only seen a little bit of it, and these guys haven't seen any of it besides from what I sent them that drunken night many moons ago.
Yeah, you're spamming the chat.
Yeah.
That
I was
was
like, the
fucking-
fuck you doing? You're
I
like,
didn't-
whoa!
I didn't watch a single one of those.
Straight up, it was blowing my fucking mind, and I had to share it. So,
Yeah.
all right, so we're gonna go watch that, and then we'll talk about that next time. Well, hopefully a little bit more gaming stuff. Because we are we're all gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I bring more intellectual
Gamers
conversation.
rise up.
Yeah.
yeah, so I think next time we're gonna try to put a little more gamer shit into this too.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk. I want to talk music next time.
We can talk some music too.
Alright, we're getting off topic.
Alright.
Okay,
Alright.
let's just
All right,
end this.
so
Let's just
yeah.
end this.
All right,
Thanks
so
for watching.
Thank you so much
the
for watching this.
0-episode pilot test of the Uninspired podcast. Catch us next time, because we're gonna beat all the competition. All right.
Hell yeah.
Misfits is next.
Hell yes.
Misfits.
Fuck you guys.
I'm coming for you, Fitz.
I took the kids.
I'm coming for you.
Alright,
Karen,
bye,
check your
bye everyone. Shut up, Joe.
Bye.